So my son Andy was cremated after he passed away, and we did choose a gravesite for him. And no, I never thought in a million years that at my age of 34 years old that I would have a grave plot now for myself already. But we did buy a double plot for my husband and I as well to be ultimately buried next to him. I will say though that we still have not chosen a headstone for him, even though we've gone to the place that makes those and we know what we want. It's just something that I think 10 months out we're still not quite ready to pull the trigger there, because I feel like there is some finality to that gesture that we're not quite ready to embrace. So Andy's ashes were put into, we got 2 urns. One is a larger standard size urn that we do plan to ultimately bury, and we keep that on our mantle in our living room. And the other is this little bird urn, which by looking at it, you would never know that it was an urn unless you tipped it upside down and opened it to see what was inside. But it looks like just like a little bronze sculpture. It's probably, this big. And that's on a shelf as more of a decorative piece. And we will actually take that little bird with us on hikes. And lately my son Zach has really liked going outside in our backyard, and we will set up a tent for him and we'll bring, Andy in there with us. And that's the intent there, was to have him in our home with us, but also to have the majority of his ashes in a plot, at a cemetery. And we chose a plot in a cemetery that's just beautiful in the town that we live in. And we strategically chose a section that is kind of abutting these beautiful, this beautiful wooded area. And one of Andy's favorite things to do every single day was to go outside in his stroller. And we have a beautiful walking path behind our home that's in the woods. It's a paved path in the woods, and you can just hear the birds tweeting. And we would always, stop the stroller and say, like, Andy, do you hear the birds? And he would just light up and kick his feet. Just such joy and happiness. So we really, there's just a strong connection with us, with birds and Andy. So that's why we chose this little bronze urn statue thingy for some of his ashes that we want to keep in our home. And then the gravesite that we chose also is just one it just reminded us so much of that path behind our home. And so we feel like ultimately when we do decide that we are ready to bury his ashes there, that we will feel like we are, visiting him kind of in a similar space to what he was so fond of at home with us.